Hey, beautiful people. EJ here. So, I'm going to wait for a few people to jump on. I know it's early for a lot of people. I don't usually do morning live streams, but I kind of just wanted to go with what's alive in me right now. So, I actually did a live stream last night in a entrepreneurial women's group, and I was asked to talk about what to do when you feel like you are outgrowing your partner. Okay, specifically women that are in partnerships with men. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. So this is because women and men are wired very differently. So it's really about trying to understand how they work, okay? So I find this is super common that most of my clients, my female clients, do struggle with this. And obviously it depends what type of relationship they're in. But I really wanted to just briefly talk about this. So if you've got any questions or you're watching the replay, please feel free to pop your questions on. And if you're live, then I'll answer them at the end. I'm trying to do the questions at the end because I get distracted and I go off topic. So I'm trying to do them at the end first, but just leave them there anyway. If stuff comes up or you're resonating to stuff, please, let me know, because I want to know what is resonating for people and what is really helping you as well, and giving me feedback is great. So let me know who's there, and please say hello. And, is there anything that you would really like to know more about? Is there anything that you're really struggling with? Hey there. Yeah, cool. Awesome. So feel free to just say hi and let me know where you're actually tuning in from. That'd be cool. I'm here at the moment on the beautiful Gold Coast. I can actually see the beach outside my window there. So let's get into it, okay? Let's not waste any more time. So basically, what tends to happen is there's a really misunderstanding, okay? That we're kind of expecting people to be a certain way or to show up a certain way. And it's because we're wired so differently, like men and women are wired differently. And so men have these things, stages that they're in, called the stages of development. Now, a lot of what I'm talking about here comes from an amazing teacher, Alison Armstrong, who wrote the book, The Queen's Code. And so this book, by the way, every woman needs to read this book. If you haven't read it, you need to go to queenscode.com and you need to go and read it. Okay, this is the first thing. This is the first task I'm giving you guys. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. And if you've read it, comment below how much you know that women need to read this, right? It's like essential. It's a really easy read. It's a storybook, but it gives you so many ahas about men, okay? So this is really forming the basis of a lot of my men's work now. And when I say men's work, I mean the work I do with women about men, okay? So this has kind of become like a bit quite foundational. And then I take people into much more deeper work as well. Okay, so I make reading the Queen's Code a bit of a prerequisite for my female clients to go and read it. And even men get a lot out of it as well. So especially a lot of the women that share it with their partners as well. And you don't have to be in a partnership either. So when I've read it, it's not, it's been looking back and reflecting on my relationships and just going, wow, okay, and a lot of ahas and things like that. Hey, beautiful Robin. Hey, Eric. Hey, Robert. And hey, Karen. Yeah, awesome. So the first thing is understanding that men are in what is called stages of development, okay? And they go from pages to knights to princes to kings, okay? So pages is when generally the children and teenagers, and then your princes is generally 20s. Now this is it's not exactly the same for everyone, but this is general. Princes are generally in their 30s, and kings are 40s and 50s, okay? So now most women that I meet are either with knights, which are, again, the 20s. I don't know if did I mention that? Did I skip one there? So pages, knights, princes, and kings. So the thing is, you don't want to try and box them into it either, because a lot of them will, generally they'll always have a bit of knight in them, okay? So the knight is pretty much about fun and adventure, that sort of thing, okay? And a lot of women are expecting men to commit to them when they're just not even in that stage yet, okay? So, but the main thing I see is that a lot of women are with princes, okay? So a lot of women that are, very career driven, very, strong and independent, tend to be with princes, okay? And there's two types of princes. There's a prince that wants to build with his partner, okay? He has a purpose, he has a vision, and he's building with his partner. And then there's the prince that wants to build first and then commit, okay? He's like, I'm going to build, I'm going to focus on my vision and my purpose, and then once I reach being a king, then I'm going to commit, all right? Then I'm husband material, right? Because before that, he doesn't actually feel like he's husband material, okay? He doesn't feel almost worthy or like he can give you what you want in a relationship. So it's not to say that he can't be in a relationship. He's just not probably going to fully commit, right? Now, you can have, lots of people in committed relationships when, a man's in his prince phase and even the knight phase. It's just that what they want is different, okay? What they want in life and what they're doing in life is different. So the first awareness you have to have is looking at what stage he's in. I also want to let you know here is that don't tell him what stage he's in, okay? He has to figure that out for himself. And he doesn't have to figure it out if he doesn't want to. But if you get to know this knowledge, and if you come to any of my workshops and retreats, we dive deeply into looking at the different stages and how to act with the men in these different stages, how to communicate with them, how to identify, and really all the men in your life, and as well, not just your romantic relationships. And so then you really get this greater understanding, and you relate to them on a whole new level. So I do have, interesting, V. I'll answer that at the end about the king going back to prince. It's a no, but I'll answer and tell you why at the end. So basically you really want to be just in awareness of that, okay? So as I said before, I actually do have a workshop coming up on this Sunday. It's a 3-hour workshop on loving men, which will go into some of this on the Gold Coast, but I also have a 2-day workshop as well around really diving deeply into this stuff. So just be aware of that. If anyone's interested, let me know. You can just comment below and I'll send you some details. So now the other thing we have to understand is that things have shifted with men and women. I think that, there's a lot of women, there's a lot of very high-powered, successful, driven, independent women. And most of us are in our masculine energy when we're being that type of woman. And most of us don't know how to not be in our masculine energy, and we kind of let that be how we run our lives. We organize, we plan, we control, we get shit done, right? And then we do that in our relationships, okay? We don't think hang on, I've got to switch off and I've got to maybe go into my femininity, or we don't even know how to do that, or and we end up so exhausted. We're like, oh my God, and we're like, why doesn't he do anything? Why do I have to be the responsible one? Why do I have to make the decisions? Why do I have to decide what we're having for freaking dinner? Why doesn't he just man up and do the things that I do, right? And why do I have to be the man, right? So this sort of stuff, right? Yeah, cool, Melinda. I'll send you that after. Hey, Grace. Awesome. Yeah, so it's all those sort of thoughts around that, and I definitely had that pattern so many times, but I actually wasn't allowing, I wasn't even allowing a man to step into the provider role, okay, which they are wired for. Now, why don't we do this, okay? Why do we go into this masculine energy? Now, this comes back to the patriarch, a lot of things like war, okay? So this goes back 1,000 years, okay? So basically where there was this fear around feminine power and how, that it would, kind of take over, and men were very afraid of this feminine power, which is actually amazing and beautiful, and the vulnerability is powerful, but in a really gentle way, not in a controlling way. But there was this fear around it. So then, there came this time where men kind of wanted to have the power, and, things like, there was abuse and war and all this sort of stuff. And when the men went to war, then women had to start stepping up, because they had to start looking after the children. They already looked after the children, obviously, but they had to start providing. They had to start, doing everything, all right? So because the men simply weren't there. So women started to learn how to also do the man's role, okay? Now, there's also things like feminism, obviously, that has come in, and there's also the birth control, okay, which have led to this way of women becoming almost overly responsible, super independent, overly responsible, and not understanding that men really need us to need them, okay? And now we're like, well, I don't need you. I don't need a man. I don't need it. Like, I can handle my shit. Like, I've got it sorted. So in that process, we actually end up emasculating them. And it's completely unconscious, okay? So there's so many things, and I want to share a few ways, because there's a lot of ways that we emasculate men. And I want to share just a couple of my experiences with that. And so, this is some of the stuff that I talk a lot about in my programs and workshops. But again, if you haven't read the Queen's Code, like really go do that, because that'll. And then I've got a group on Facebook, which I've tagged on here. It's called Loving Men, okay? And so this is a group where women have come together. A lot of us have read the Queen's Code, and we are really creating a community where we focus on, like, we give up the right to emasculate men, and then we look at how can we love men, how can we relate to them better, how can we understand them more. So this is a really great group where I'm going to be sharing a lot more live streams and content and things in there about that as well. So please feel free to jump into that group. I would love to have you in there. So yeah, so let's have a look at some of the ways that we emasculate men. So things like withholding appreciation. If I'm somebody that doesn't like to have many regrets, okay? But when I look back now, and if someone asks me, what is your biggest regret with your relationships? My biggest regret would be that I didn't appreciate them enough, okay? It was almost like appreciation was being vulnerable, like to give them or tell them, you know, acknowledge them. And it was really like, almost like I felt like I was giving my power away, like unconsciously, like I wasn't kind of aware of it until I looked back and reflected on it. And then it was, but without understanding that men thrive with appreciation and acknowledgement, and actually he would have wanted to give to me more, right? So I was kind of hindering myself by not doing it. And you know, at the start I did, but over time it's like I got, you know, became resentful about other things, and I was just like, well, oh my God, he's not doing this, he's not doing that, well, why should I appreciate him? That sort of stuff would play out. So it was always about him not doing enough, right? And so, of course, I didn't want to appreciate him and those sort of things. So when I look back now, I know that a man grows with appreciation. So almost like you have to almost go over the top, right? Like just, you know, notice the things that he does for you, because he's really trying to please, like he really is. And he wants to be seen and acknowledged for the ways that he's providing. Even if the providing isn't financial, and maybe you're the one that's bringing in the money, because that's been my pattern in the past. He will grow and he will thrive and he will step up when you appreciate him for what he is doing, okay? So I had an ex-partner who would really help around the house, and he would help me move things around, and I was more the financial provider, but I could see that he was really trying to provide in his own way. And I was like resentful because he wasn't working, which was interesting because I actually kind of created that way, because this is the other thing, is that if you attempt to be the financial provider, something to look at is I actually kind of created it because I told him I'd look after him if he left his job, and then it was actually unconsciously about me creating dependence so that he wouldn't leave, like completely subconsciously. Yeah, cool, thanks, Bree. Yeah, and so it was a form of control. So emasculation is basically about having control, and it's about it's because we don't feel safe, and it's because of all this stuff around, you know, abuse and all the stuff that has made women not as equals, that we feel not safe, okay? We feel not safe to be in the world, okay? And it's not safe to be a woman. It's like you don't go out late at night. There's all this stuff about it's not as safe to be a woman, okay? So to help us feel safe, we try and control, basically, and then we emasculate. And then it just actually creates less safety. Right, yeah, so it's really interesting because then and then men get reactive, and it's a big vicious circle. But so some of these things that we can do, it really just helps us to relate and so much better and have amazing relationships and get out of that power dynamic, because, you know, we're consistently trying to overpower each other and use control in different ways. And it only ends up with both people being really, really hurt, okay? So Withholding admiration, withholding sex. And when I say that, because this is where my mind goes with this, is, we can be very disconnected from our bodies, okay? As women, we can be numbed out, we can be disconnected, and we don't have sex drive. What I mean by withholding sex is that we deliberately do it because as a way of power, well, you did this, so I'm not going to give you this sort of thing, that kind of thing. So when I say withholding sex, I don't mean because, like, if you don't actually want to do it, that's something you want to go within and look at, because you might just need some sexual healing on that. But yeah, so just be aware of that. So it's more so like if you're using it as a bit of like to have some sort of power or whatever, okay? And if you're feeling resentful or you don't want to give them sex because you're feeling resentful, then you want to go and look at the resentment stuff, okay? Not letting them impress you, not trusting them, okay? So yeah, I'm getting to that one, V. Men really want to be trusted. Like that is massive. That is key, okay? So we have to really work on our trust in ourselves, because that's what it's really about. Like if we don't trust someone, that's about where are we not trusting ourselves and where are we not trusting our own masculine energy, okay? So this has been key learning for me, which has actually been about boundaries and presence and grounding and that sort of stuff. Assuming that they're being insincere, okay, because we're expecting them to react like us and be empathetic like us, and often they might not necessarily be that way, okay? They might just be showing up differently. Not needing them for anything important to you. So you might be like, well, I don't need your help with this, I can do it myself. Or they might offer help and you're like, no, it's fine, I can do it. Okay? So I'm going to tell you now is to like, please accept help. Even if you know you can do it, accept it, please, because they want to do that. Like really, they do want to help you. Okay? And the more you allow it, the more you're going to be in the energy of receiving. And being in the energy of receiving is one of the most attractive qualities to a man. Man, really. Okay, so they want to give and they want to provide. That's what they're wired for. They're literally wired to provide. And when we don't allow that, it makes them feel small. Okay, so be in the energy of receiving. Not taking interest in their passions, complaining, expecting them to be like us, blowing off their suggestions and ideas. So I had a guy not that long ago suggest a workshop to me about G-spot orgasm. It was pretty interesting. And I was thinking in my head, like, that's a crazy, it was a funny idea, but I won't get into the idea now. But it was, I was like, I'm not really sure how it's going to work. But I was kind of like, wow, that sounds really, really interesting. And I was like, oh yeah, that's like, and we sort of just brainstormed a little bit. He's like, oh, I was really excited to share this with you and this sort of thing. So it's like, just be open to hearing their ideas and suggestions, even if you're like, that's not logical. Why would I do that? Because to you, it's totally not logical, right? But to them, they're like, oh, this is such a good idea. So just be open to receiving that, okay? Ignoring them, criticizing them, interrupting them. This is what V said before, is that they might be telling a story, and if you interrupt or shut it down, then they might not finish it. Like, and you might do that a few times, and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm not even going to finish the story. Like, they might not necessarily think that way, but they just stop because they're like, kind of, and I did this to an ex-partner where he'd tell me these stories and, thanks, Sonia. Yeah, it's massive. It's huge. So he's telling me these stories about like all these cool people he hanged out with, and I'm like, dude, I'm like on a mission to change the world. I don't really care about these famous people that you've been hanging out with. Like, that's just so superficial. Like, that's what I was thinking in my head. I'm like, I'm on a mission to change the world. Like, I've got big shit to do. Like, this is like boring conversation. And I was like, in my business trying to do stuff when he's telling me the story. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, this is, and by this time I was actually my love tank was pretty low in our relationship. And so I turned around and I actually snapped at him and I was like, yeah, this conversation is really boring. And, oh man, he was like, he used to use that against me, like, oh, I'm just boring to you. And I was like, no, that's not what I was saying. It was just, oh man, it started like this big fight, and it was not good. But he always like, that'll keep coming up in conversation and fights and stuff. because I completely shut him down. And I just got triggered in that moment because I was like, I couldn't even listen. I couldn't be present to him because I was focused on something else instead of being conscious about it, like, and perhaps saying, hey, I really want to hear your story. Like, I'm really interested and I want to know what you have to say. But right now, I just need to focus on this and I can give you my full attention at this time or something, So it was really interesting. So just be aware of that. And another thing I want to note here is that I've had these conversations with men on the phone before when I've been dating, and I'll be telling them a story, and then, or maybe not even just on the phone, maybe it's in general, and I'll be on the phone and they'll be like, I'll be waiting for them to reply, and I'm like, waiting? And I'm like, well, was that not interesting or something? Was that like, why are they not saying anything? Like, or, just waiting for them. And then I'll keep talking. I was like, oh, well, da-da-da-da-da-da. And they're actually just processing, because I'm thinking, this guy's a bit boring. Like, he doesn't even respond to, like, does he even not have opinions or something? And so it's really interesting, but with one of my ex-partners, he'd be like, oh no, I'm listening. I'm like fully just taking it in. Because I hit him up about it and was like, hey, like, why do you like pause? Like, why do you like take so long to reply? And he's like, oh, I'm just like processing what you're saying. I'm just really thinking about it so I can give you like a really good answer. Like, I really want to think about it. I really want to take it in. And like, how beautiful is that he's just being so fully present to respond to what I'm saying. So just be aware that men are often processing, okay, and they're thinking. So before you go on to keep going and going and going about what you're trying to say, and then you wonder why he may be not present because he's still freaking processing stuff that you said 10 minutes ago. So just be aware that you've got to take some time for, like, just be patient. Patience. You've got to be patient, ladies. You have to be patient. Which actually leads me to a little story. I'm going to put up a post maybe in the next couple of days about this thing that happened with my dad. About we were driving somewhere and it was about maps, he was like, oh, I know where I'm going, and we ended up getting lost a few times. And it was about me being really patient and actually allowing him to find the way without me butting in and being and taking over. And so this is the other thing, is that don't take over something that you've asked him to do. Totally, parent. And you've asked him to do something and he's doing it and you're like, this is not how I would do it. Why doesn't he just do it like this? And then you're like, okay, let me do it. Like, you've just totally taken away, like, his ability to provide. Like, he's like, he might not be doing it, and he may take a little bit longer. I'm sure there'll be plenty of things he can do much better than you as well. But maybe it's something you ask him to do, or he wants to do for you, and you just might try and take it off him. Like, just be patient, let him do it. Hey, so he'll get there, okay? And men really like to problem solve, okay? So he might be thinking, like, long term, right? He might be thinking the best way to do this. Like, we're just like, oh, let's find the fast solution, like, just whatever's going to work now, like efficiency. And he's like really thinking like, okay, how can I do this the best way? What's going to be like? This is why men are such great builders. It's because, and they have things that they set the foundations up. We're kind of like trying to do 10 million things at once. So we want this fast and this and this, and then we want it now. I want it yesterday, right? And so they're generally like really, they're thinking about how they can really solve this problem in the best way possible, okay? Yeah. So just allow them to do that, okay? And just be patient, because in the end, it's going to be really amazing for your relationship, but it's also probably going to give you the better solution. So, other things is don't roll your eyes at them. What else? Being impatient, we said that one. Basically shutting down their storytelling, as I've already said it before. So that is kind of a quick overview of ways that we can emasculate men. And basically what it comes down to is we're taking away their ability to provide, which is basically where their self-worth is. They are wired to provide. It gives them so much self-worth and it gives them purpose. Okay, men thrive on purpose. Okay, and there's a few key words that I'm going to share with you quickly about this, and it's really about how to get men to do things. Maybe that they, and you're going to want to write this one down, right? This is cool. This is from the Queen's Code, And it is amazing. It is like magic, okay? So let's say, for example, there's something you've been asking him to do forever and ever, like something that you don't want him to do, and he keeps doing it, and you've told him 10 freaking million times not to do this thing or to go and do this thing. And I use the example of the trash, which is a similar example they use in the Queen's Code about taking out the trash, right? And it seems to be a thing, or putting the toilet seat down, right? Like, how many times? And you're like, in your head, you're like, they don't respect me. Like, why is he not respecting me? Why didn't he just put that freaking toilet seat down? Why does he take out the trash? Like, does he not see it there? No, he doesn't. He really does not see it, okay? Because we are seeing lots of different things, and they are seeing the one thing that they're working on right at that moment, and that thing might be watching the TV, right? Men are single focused. They focus on one thing really well at a time, which is actually a beautiful quality to have, because it makes them great at their work, because they can just really focus on the one thing. And we're seeing the trash, we're seeing the toilet seat, toilet seat up. We're seeing it all. We're seeing the clothes on the floor. We're seeing the towels on the bathroom floor. We're seeing things that are just like all over the place. And it's like, why do we have to ask them to do it? Like, really, why can't they just be initiative and do it themselves? You've got to give them a purpose. It has to provide, like, what is the purpose of doing these things, okay? And again, like, men need purpose, okay? So what you want to do is, like, find, what are all these things? What is the purpose, right? What is the purpose? And connect that purpose to what it provides for you and how it makes you feel. So, for example, let's use the toilet seat down example. Is that... what does it provide for you when you see that it's been done? Okay, so how does it make you feel? So for me, it would be that it shows me that they care. It provides, you don't have to, touch it, right? And you don't have to go in there and you're busting to go to the toilet and you're like, oh shit, I've got to put the toilet seat down, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm busting. So it's like more comfortable. And you can actually have this conversation, right? It's like, it's saving you time. It's making you more comfortable. It's making you feel cared about and respected, right? Okay. So really think about these things. And then, you can say, hey, look, just have a little conversation about, this thing, that what I would really love is that, if you could put the toilet seat down, because what it provides for me is this, okay? And it really makes me feel this, okay? So these are the things you want to write down. What I want is this, what I need. Actually, you want to use the word need, okay? Need is another key word. And what I need from you is this, okay? And what I need from you, this is what it provides for me, this is how it makes me feel, okay? Then you've given him a purpose. He is like, wow, I know that when I'm putting that toilet seat down, that this is going to make her feel cared about and respected, okay? Just as an example, okay, this might not be your issue, but, obviously there's lots of different things that might be coming up for you, okay? So yeah, need, provide, feelings, okay? So those things. So I think that's mainly where I wanted to go with that. Okay, so the whole idea behind this, if you want him, and how this all ties in with the subject, which is, helping your man to, how to manage it when your man is not growing with you, how this ties in is that when you do these things, it inspires him, it empowers him, it liberates him. He wants to grow with you. He'll start taking interest. He'll be like, oh, what are you doing there? Oh, that sounds interesting. And this is the thing, don't tell him to do stuff. Like, there's a difference between telling him, can you freaking put the toilet seat down, please, right? To what we just said, right? There's a two. And when you tell him to do stuff, he's like, fuck that. He's like, why would I do that? Like, I'm focused on this thing over here. Like, this thing's got way more purpose than that, right? So you want to really just look at what is the purpose of things, but looking at, if you want him to start doing some healing, if you want him to start being more motivated, and if you want him to step up and go out and do things and, you know, anything that you're seeing that, you know, you want him to grow, okay? Be the inspiration. Just go and do these things for yourself. Share with him or everything that you're learning, okay? Share those things. And he may just take a little bit longer, right? And it will get to a point where he's like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like, and you just be like, oh, hey, like, this is really interesting. What do you think of this? Maybe you show him a website and be, hey, what do you think of this website? Like, I'm really interested in this course. What do you think? Like, and just share with him, right? And then do all these other things that I've just shared with you. And just notice, right? Just notice what happens and just be patient. Key. Patience is key. Okay. So does anyone have any questions on that? As I said, I'm going this weekend. I'm doing a workshop on Sunday. It's a 3-hour workshop. We're going to go deeply into this and looking at all your stuff and providing lots of, you know, more specifics around what you might be going through, what you're experiencing, and we're just going to dive a lot deeper than I have here because I've gone through everything super quickly and we already scratched the surface. Yeah, Vanessa, okay. Actually, before I get to Vanessa's question, I also have a 2-day workshop coming up in March on the Gold Coast. So this is called Liberate and Love Men. So again, we're going to dive even deeper for 2 days into this stuff as well. So yeah, okay. So Vanessa, basically, can someone be a king and then go back to prince? No. And interestingly enough, I literally just like listened to this morning around that actually. So it's interesting that you answered that. So basically, no, they will, if they had to rebuild again, say they have, you know, maybe they go through a divorce, maybe they lose everything, maybe whatever's happened, they build from king. Okay, they build from being a king, okay? So they just do things differently. So they don't go backwards. But yeah, once they've reached the king, they've been through what's called the tunnel, which can look like a midlife crisis, and then they come to the king status. Then it will just be a different type of building, okay? Right? I feel like you guys in tunnel right now. That's what I feel like. I feel like he's coming through the tunnel, okay, with the stuff that you've shared with me. So this is where the patience has to come in. I don't necessarily, especially if there's a big upheaval in their life, especially if also, this is another thing to note, a man might go into king early if his father is sick or passes away, because he has to step up and be the king of the family now. Okay, he has to kind of take that place. So just be aware, they might usually, yeah, okay, this all makes so much sense, yeah. Oh, totally, Sonia. I would love if you were on the Gold Coast, but I'm actually going to record. I'm going to record this as an online version as well. I'm going to record this as a like a, I don't know, 7-week program or something. We'll see how what flows. I'm just looking at any comments that I need to answer. Any questions? Yeah, if you are interested in doing the online version, let me know. That will probably be like March. Probably more like April that I'll do that. That will be so cool, by the way. Just, yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so it all makes sense. Okay. Questions, any specific questions? And if you're watching the replay, yeah, how good is life? It's actually cool to see some guys on here. Now, I just want to quickly mention too, is that women don't try and tell your man what stage he's in, but you can share this video with him, okay? And then he might be like, oh, okay. And I would be interested to know if some of you do share this video and see if it resonates for them as well. If they're like, oh yeah, that does. If you said things like this, it would, you know, just maybe just see, okay? And obviously, you know, share with some of your girlfriends as well who you know may need this. I mean, really, we all do. But, okay, so steps now. Go download the Queen's Code if you haven't, queenscode.com. I'm not an affiliate, by the way, but I should really be, because I make everyone read it. And then join my group, The Loving Men, okay? And then PM me or comment below if you want to be interested in my workshop or my online program, okay? So, yeah. Juliana, what if he really doesn't believe and see the things like you do for him, but totally skeptic and atheist? Yeah. Okay, that's kind of a different, yeah, I can get that. I totally get that. So this would probably be looking at, oh, thanks V, I appreciate that. Yeah, so this is probably a little bit different to what we're talking about here, but I would be looking at having some conversations around that, and like, what does that bring up for you? How you can be more open to understanding and exploring each other's wants and needs, and like looking at what you could do is talk. I mean, you can't necessarily tell them that they need to change, right? This is not how it works, but you can use language that will inspire them to want to. So when you feel supported by him at some point, maybe there's something he does really support you on, you know, you can tell him how it makes you feel and what it provides for you when he fully supports you, okay? And you can say, hey, like, I maybe you don't feel supported in these areas, and then you would really love some more support, because it would really provide this for me, okay? It would really make me feel this, okay? So, you know, maybe it's just be little bit by little bit. Yeah, so I would just be aware of that. But if it's hard, like if he's not supporting you or at all, or if he's really anti, like, what you're doing, that sort of thing, then I would be questioning it a little bit as to the connection, what you need in a relationship. Do you really need a man that fully supports what you're doing? Okay, and I'm not saying go like break up with him or anything. I'm just saying, like, what is it that you really want in a relationship? Getting really clear on that, and then you can have a discussion around that as well, and saying, it's like, this is the needs. This is what I need from you. This is what can you help me with something? This is what I need, okay? I need you just to, you don't have to believe everything that I do, but just to support me, okay? Because this is what it provides for me, this sort of thing. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, I'm going to have to go now because I have a client. So, yeah, so awesome to jump on here so quickly and talk with everyone. And please, of course, feel free to reach out to me, to PM me. I'll get back to you guys later. And yeah, much love, and I hope this really helps and you got some good info from it. Okay, much love. Bye.